It's gonna take time to get used to talking to a camera again, because it's been so long. Hi, hello, how are you? If you're new here, I'm Alex. It's nice to meet you. And if you're coming back, thank you so much for sticking around. We are best friends now. It's been some time. Some time has passed. It's been over a month since I posted. I did not post all of April at all, not even once. And that is because I was busy with school. I chaotically had to finish a final paper or two, and there was just a lot going on. Barely had time to read. Didn't have time to plan a video, didn't have time to like film and edit a video, and I didn't want to give you something that was subpar, you know? So here we are back in business, baby, and we're better than ever, question mark. How are you? I hope you're doing well, and if not, that is okay, I get it. I hope tomorrow is better, and you know what? I hope the rest of your week is better. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Even if that just means you're sleeping all weekend. I get it. I totally understand. So there's this thing that's been going around on BookTube, and that is talking about the best books you've ever read, according to Goodreads. Because Goodreads, like, you can order the books that you have read based on like the average ranking. So it's based on like how many stars has the general public who has read this book given this book, kind of thing, you know what I mean? So these are not necessarily my opinion, it's just what Goodreads is telling me. And Goodreads is often wrong. Who here has been bamboozled by a high Goodreads rating? Spanish love deception, I'm looking at you. Okay, so let's just do this thing. If there are books that are within the same series, I will just mention that they are within the same series, and if like other books are within it, I'll kind of just like skip over that because that's boring and redundant. And we are here to have fun, not to be bored. Right off the bat, number 1, 2, and 3 are Heartstopper, number 4, 3, and 2 by Oseman. Number 1 is not here, but those are the top 3, and I can agree with that. That sits well with me because that series is fantastic. If you haven't read it yet, first of all, you live under a rock, and second of all, you totally should because it is so worth your time and so worth the hype that it's getting. It is a graphic novel series written by Oseman, first started out as a webcomic, then it was published into books, and now it's actually a TV series on Netflix. It is excellent. It is about queer joy and high school being hard, but you know, like found family can really help you get through that stuff, and the art is fantastic. I'm rereading them currently. I just finished the second book, and I'm excited to read the third and the fourth soon, which are the top 2 books that I have read. After that is a little children's story, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Mcsee. So I think I read this at the beginning of this year, and it's a lot about like where your place in the world, I guess. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this. I think there are mixed feelings about this, but generally people tend to love this, and it is a very heartwarming story. I give it 3 stars personally. The average rating is 4.58 stars on Goodreads. Next is another book that I read recently for a book club that I'm in, and that is 7 Fallen Feathers, Racism, Death, and Hard Truths in a Northern City by Tanya Talaga. So this book is about 7 deaths of indigenous children that happened in Thunder Bay, which is in northern Ontario in Canada. And it's kind of how the police have failed Indigenous peoples, how Canada has failed Indigenous peoples, and how the people of Thunder Bay have failed Indigenous peoples, and about how children were taken from their their homes from their parents because there was no access to proper or substantial education to where they were in Northern Ontario. So they moved miles and miles away from their home, from their family, from their friends, from the people that love them, to Thunder Bay to get an education for a better life, which was cut short ultimately. It is a very difficult read, but I think it's an important read, and it's a very powerful read. And Talaga is a journalist, I believe, and she is very well spoken, and it is very well written. Then after that is Heartstopper 1 by Alice Oseman. Already talked about it, but definitely belongs there. Then interestingly is Lock and Key Volume 6, Alpha and Omega by Joe Hill. I really liked the first book in that series. This is the last book. After the second book, it kind of went downhill significantly. Like a lot of racial slurs, a lot of just like derogatory name calling, and it took a lot away from the story. The first book was really interesting. It was very unique and well done, but it just, I don't really understand how that has a 4.48. That's interesting. After that is my most recent read, which I finally picked up after everybody telling me to read it, and guess what, everyone was right. And that is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I loved that book. I listened to the audiobook. Fantastic. Evelyn is such an interesting character. Taylor Jenkins Reid just has a way of writing these glamorous, broken, famous, rich people. And it's just a very interesting way to tell a story, in my opinion. She is so good at modern historical fiction, if that makes sense. Loved it, and I'm sure you have all already read it. And I understand why it's at the top. Like, that makes sense. That's believable. Then Lock and Key Volume 5. We're just gonna skip over that. After that is I'm Finding My Talk by Rebecca Thomas, which is a children's book that is both written and illustrated by Canadian Indigenous women. And it's very interesting. And essentially it's a story of an Indigenous youth finding their lost connection to their culture because of what happened in the residential schools in Canada. After that is another Indigenous book, another Canadian Indigenous book, and that is Indian Horus by Richard Wagamese. I've spoken about this book many, many times, and it is very well deserving of a top seat on this list. It is about a young boy in a residential school and how he, I guess, found his freedom in hockey. And it tells a story of him as an older man kind of reflecting on his life and recognizing the trauma that he has went through and coming to terms with it and healing from it. And it is harrowing and incredible. I really like Richard Wagamese, and I'm very much looking forward to reading his other stuff. After that is another Indigenous book, and it's a nonfiction that I've read recently. I listened to the audiobook, and that's Gathering Moss by Robin Wall Kimmerer. I loved this book. She's the author of Braiding Sweetgrass, which has also become very popular. And it's interesting to see that this is rated significantly higher. I wonder if it's because it had less readers. And it's kind of like the people that loved Braiding Sweetgrass wanted to see what else she had written, and they found Gathering Moss, and of course they loved it because it's gorgeous. It is one of the first 5 stars I have given this year, and it was phenomenal. I love moss personally, but honestly, even if you are not a moss kind of gal or guy or person, I think you could still enjoy this. It's very beautifully written. Kimmerer just has this way with words. She's a scientist and she's a poet, so I really appreciate her work. After that, another not surprise, because this book is big on book talk, and that's The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I love this book. It's a retelling of the Trojan War from the perspective of Patroclus, and it's about Patroclus and Achilles and their love for each other. And it hurt bad. It hurt bad, I'm not gonna lie. Then it's this essay that I read called How to Mark a Book by Mortimer Adler. interesting essay. Worth the read. Then it's volume 3 from the Lock and Key series, so we're gonna skip over that. Then it's Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I love this book. It's beautiful. It's very incredibly well written. And if you have access to the audiobook, I urge you to listen to the audiobook because it's amazing to listen to it from Coates' point of view, from the, like, he's reading it the way it's meant to be read. And it's a letter to his son, essentially, about life as a Black man in America and how he hopes by the time his son grows up, things will improve. Then it's Lock and Key, Volume 4. My God, how are these so highly rated? Where's the first one? That one was the best. I guess it's because, again, it has like the most reads, so it probably has the lowest rating. Anyway, thank you for sitting through this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was fun. I have a bunch of ideas for new videos coming up. I'm really excited to film them. I'm really excited to put them out there for you and see what's in store. I'd also like to say thank you for sticking around again. I know I was missing for all of April. I was very, very busy, and I appreciate that you guys are still here. I appreciate that there are new people here. Thank you so much. I can't believe I have over 200 subscribers. That's phenomenal. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.